All right, CMIS105 students, in this video I'm going to show you one of the many ways that you can run Python code for this course. Whichever way you do it, I personally think this way is probably the most computer science-y, program developer-ish way to do it. But it really doesn't matter to me. Whatever works for you is fine. But the reason why I like this method the most is because it's probably one of the easiest ways, in the sense as there's not as much to download. It's pretty lightweight. It's going to work on pretty much a Windows, Mac, or Linux utility. However, there is a little bit of install, and it's a little bit more command-based, a little bit more of a hacker kind of way, but it's not really rocket science. So first thing you're going to need to do this method is you're going to have to download Python. So the latest version of Python should probably be fine. Python went through a major change many years ago now to Python 3. I think we're up to 3.11 at the time of me recording this video, but any version of 3 is going to work. Actually, it looks like it's 3.12, but that's going to work. So I'm on a Windows system. You want to make sure whatever OS you have that you download for Mac or Linux, whatever other platform you have, you can see that it's going to work in other platforms. So I've already downloaded Python, but you want to do that first and install it. So Python is going to be basically your computer is going to understand take Python code and compile it and run it on your system is what it's really going to do. So I've already installed that, but you want to make sure you do that. The other thing that I think is a really good thing to do is I think it's good to have some kind of simple text editor or programming editor. Now you can do this with a tool that is specifically for programming, which I'm going to make a video showing that as well, but you really don't have to have that. So I like using a tool called NotepadPlusPlus, which is pretty lightweight. It's basically Notepad on steroids. It's a simple program that allows you to have like some color enhancement. It does understand different languages, and it's got some other cool tools written into it as well. If you're on a Mac, I don't think you can use NotepadPlusPlus. However, there is a program called Brackets, which is just as good and will work on a Mac. So you can use Brackets on Windows, Mac, or Linux. NotepadPlusPlus, I believe, works on Windows and Linux. I know it works on Windows. I don't think it works on a Mac. But that's the program I'm going to use. So I have a simple file that I've opened in NotepadPlusPlus, which I'm going to show you. So here I've opened NotepadPlusPlus, and this is a simple Python file. So it's about as simple as you could get. And all I'm doing is I'm going to print hello. Now, just to show you how NotepadPlusPlus works, again, brackets, other editors will be very similar. I'm going to make a new file, and I'm just going to give it a command. I've already done that, but when you're done, you want to save it. Now, I saved this as hello.py, and you can see that in the upper left corner. I think it's really, really, really good if you know where you save your files. I think it's an excellent idea to make some kind of folder that has a naming convention you understand. I've saved this in a folder for CMIS105, and in there I made a folder for my code. So just to show you what that folder looks like, I'm doing this on my personal computer at home, so you can see I have a folder in my documents called FCC CMIS 105, and in there I have a folder called my code. Now I've already made a couple different Python files, but the one you're looking at right now is this hello.py file. All that's in it is just to print hello, and I've saved it right here. Now if you use Notepad++, brackets might be similar, I honestly don't know, but if you're using Notepad++, you can right click a file and just edit with Notepad++. While I'm on this topic, another way to do your Python code is to use this thing called idle, which may or may not show up depending on how you installed Python. Idle will also work. I'm not totally against idle, but if you look at idle, one of the big complaints I have is it doesn't show line numbers, and it's a little bit clunkier, but you really don't need any other editor. You can just use idle itself. that's fine with me if that's what you want to use, but I'm using Notepad++. That's my approach. You don't have to use that, but that's the way I'm going to do this. So now what I want to do is I want to find that file and launch it. So this is kind of old school way, but really, really valuable way to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the command prompt. And you can do this a number of ways. If you're on a Mac, it's slightly different. If you're on Linux, it's slightly different, but you may have to look up your own OS and how that works. But on a Windows computer, you can simply, now I'm on Windows 10, Windows 11 is a little different. Other OS versions of Windows are slightly different, but if you go to the search tool or the Windows tool, you should be able to simply type CMD, and I suggest right-clicking and run as administrator, because then you're going to have no problem getting around what you need to do. Now, if you're on a Chromebook, I don't know how to do this on a Chromebook using this approach. There are other ways to do it, but I strongly advise you against using a Chromebook for this course. You're going to be doing some programming. You're in this class because you're interested in possibly doing development. I personally think you need to get away from a Chromebook. It's really limiting. You don't have full control over it. So anyway, so I'm going to click on Write on Administrator. I already have this opened, but when you open Command Prompt, what it's probably going to do is it's probably going to open to your C drive. Now, I'm not on my C drive right now. Let me see if I can get to that. So now, when you launch Command Prompt, it may go to some weird location. I'm just showing you what mine did earlier today. It launched from where the command executable application is, which is inside the System32 folder of Windows. That's not where we want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I have to navigate to the folder that I want to open. The folder I want to open is this folder. I want to get to this folder so I can launch this Python code. So now my computer is a little bit different setup than what most of yours may be, because I have like an external drive that I'm going to, and mine's a little bit kookier. Most of you are just going to have one drive, but you're probably saving your files in your My Documents folder if you're on a Windows machine. So regardless, you want to get to that folder. So this is a little bit of command prompt stuff, but if you type dir, which I'm not going to do because there's a ton of files in here, but if you type dir for directory list and then hit enter, it's going to show you all the files and folders in this directory. I already know in the System32 folder there's a bunch of different stuff, and I don't want to do that. I want to go up one level, so I'm going to do cd space ... and now it goes back up to the Windows directory. Now in here, if I hit dir, you still see a ton of stuff, but this is just on my computer. Yours may be different, but I really want to go up. I'm trying to get into the My Documents folder. So I'm going to go cd space ... and go back up one more level. Sorry, I hit enter twice there. And now I can see that I'm at the top level of the root directory. That's basically the top level of my C drive. Now what I want to do is I want to go into users. So I'm going to do cd space users, because that's the folder I want to go into. And I can see here's all my users. What I'm trying to get into, me, Steven, that's my logon on this computer. I'm trying to get into the My Documents folder, and then I'm trying to go into this code folder. So you may have to do a little bit of navigation around to find that. As a fun fact, there used to be a tool called Command from Here, which was really, really helpful, which was cool, and it would easily help you navigate around. But regardless, you want to get back to that folder, which I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. And I was able to get back to that folder. Now, something I happened to stumble upon earlier today in Notepad++, which is really cool. If you download the latest version of Notepad++, if you right-click the file name, you should be able to open containing folder in CMD. So this should work. You should be able to left-click that, and it should open your command prompt at this same folder level, which is exactly where we want to be. Now, what I would recommend doing before you do anything is let's make sure Python installed. And you can do that by typing py space -- version and then space py. And that's going to tell you the version of Python. And if you don't see a version, mine is 3.12, 3.12, 3.12.1. If you don't see that, then Python did not install properly. But now I know Python's installed, and that's really what I need. What I want to do is I want to run this file called hello with a capital H. That's just the naming convention that I used. So I'm going to type py, short for Python, the name of the file, which is hello.py. And when I hit enter, it should run that print, whatever it's printing, it should run that. And this is a simple program, it's just printing hello, but there it ran. You can see that happened blazing fast, which to me is a big benefit of running your code in this manner. So this is one way that you can run your files. So your files will become much more elaborate than this, but this is, to me, one of the easiest ways. As long as you can get around the navigation of command prompts, know where you save stuff, to me, this is a surefire way to get stuff to run properly. So if you're interested in looking at other ways, I'm going to make some other videos showing some other ways that you can run your Python code. Just be aware that when you go to and upload your files, what you're ultimately uploading is a .py file. That's what I'm going to be looking for when you submit your code.